Thank you so much, sir. It's been indeed a privilege to have the second neurosurgeon in Nigeria seated here with us. Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a privilege. Okay, so you would agree with me that it's been a time to reflect. It's been a time for those of us that know about what Baba has said, to recall, to refresh our memory about the past. And of course, he has given Dawn Commission the mandate, or he has put to us how we should go carry forward what is expected, what he expects from us. And you can be sure, sir, we wouldn't fail your expectations, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you to Professor Famuyiwa for bringing him. Okay, so this will be entering into the question and answer session, and this would provide opportunity for us to ask those questions that we had written down in the course of his presentation, or something we just felt back home that today I'm going to ask Baba this. Thank you.
Good morning, or is it afternoon yet? It's afternoon. My name is Kayode Owojori. First of all, I want to commend Dawn Commission. Many of us who are very concerned about the rich heritage of the Yoruba nation would understand why we need a think tank. And I want to believe that the place of Dawn is already etched in history itself, in that Dawn is providing a veritable linkage between the past, the present, and the future, especially in this era where we just survived our political system striking out history from the subjects to be offered at the West African School certificate exams. Prof, I don't know whether it's restored fully now. We are still working on it. There is a pronouncement on that. So we are on a recovery path. Some of us, even though we were not full historians, were very much connected with our past from the history class. So on that basis, I want to commend Dawn and declare that we would very much be following the trajectory of what you are doing out there in the public space. Secondly, I want to talk on our subject today, our speaker. When his rich citation was being made, there's an aspect of him which he just made a passing comment on, and that was his early education in Christ School, Ado-Ekiti, where he was a student between 1947 and 1952. And it will interest you, he's here to confirm that he never offered physics, chemistry, biology in Christ School. Did you, sir? He never. It was, sir, it was not taught then, back then. But this man, this icon, still went ahead to emerge as a preeminent neurosurgeon without a basic education of physics, chemistry. I think they were just doing basic science or something way back then. And it's really important to observe that as alumni of Christ School, we had a program over the weekend. And what was the crux of the program? We invited our elders. We called it a day out with our elders. And we want to do that often and often. And what we did at that occasion was to call on eminent personalities who passed out of Christ School to come and address the present generation. There we had our lecturer today, as a preeminent medical practitioner. We had Bishop V.I.O. Olajide, G.I.O. Olajide, the retired bishop of the Anglican Diocese. We had many of them. We had Professor Lunge, who is the preeminent, the first ever professor of computer science. He's in West Africa, and I think he's even one of the few in Africa. He's still living, he's here and now. Professor Lunge. Why am I saying this? We need a connect. We've had long stretch of disconnect with our past. We need this connect. And these gentlemen who are giving us the head start, who had given us the head start, are still around now to continue in this trajectory of helping the Yoruba nation assert its place in history as the tribe that makes Nigeria. I have no apology for that. Just 2 days ago, I was part of a delegation that visited the family of General Robert Adeyinka Adebayo, our governor, the last military governor of Western State. When I think it was when we were still 12 now. Western State, yeah, we were already 12 states. You remember Gowon was there, and it was 1966 that Fajui was killed, and then he assumed and then so we were at his family. He is yet to be buried. He passed away just about 2 weeks ago, and the likes of General Adebayo gained the respect of the Yoruba nation because they refused to sell the conscience of the Yoruba nation. And our visit to his family reinforced the idea that unless we begin to sell what we have, unless we begin to flaunt what we have in the Yoruba nation, history might just sweep them aside. And I want to again admonish or probably encourage Don that whatever we get in the Christ School family, we do occasional lectures and we publish them into books which we don't pride ourselves in selling, but in giving out, just like you have said. And I want to believe that there would come a time when Don will have a larger audience made up of secondary school students, because that's where we need to get information to. And in rounding up, let me again say that Don, you're doing a good work, and you're doing a good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm a teacher, so I'll stand behind here. This my comfort zone. So I'm very delighted to be here today, Baba. Agbayatubo Dalesa. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing when you come to this kind of occasion and you hear this. Two major things. You are still the best. If you didn't go to University of Ibadan, you went to lesson, maybe you should consider re-registering. So I say it everywhere that University of Ibadan is actually the Harvard of Africa. University of Ibadan is still the best, and I just want to thank Dawn Commission for this initiative. I want to appreciate them for doing this. You know, for younger people like myself, we have children, and like it's rightly said, we are losing focus. We are losing, in the bid to be westernized, we are losing what makes us who we are. And this kind of thing is something, I wrote something here. I said, in Yoruba land, we are very, how do you say now, we are very reserved, we are very conservative. But I realized that celebrating excellence is not pride. It's a strong motivational tool for people that are coming behind. So Baba, we celebrate you, all your achievements. We celebrate you. And I think we should celebrate them more. It's not a good thing when somebody dies and you say, oh, posthumously. It's not the same thing. So this is a very terrible. So I hope this will go out. I hope we have media here to put this out to young medical people to aspire. Like somebody that didn't do physics, chemistry, biology, that all these things. Now we are being spoon-fed. But I think they are the one that actually did the medicine. Now you have more of the book, a lot of talk, a lot of book, but not the action, not the practice. And I think we need to learn from that generation. It's just like when you go up higher, you keep narrowing down, you start from your BSc, which is a wide field, then you go to masters, then you go to your PhD, and by the time you become a professor, you end up knowing little about nothing. So I think it's a very good thing. And already University of Ibadan is we are collaborating with Down Commission. I met Mr. Adeloye informally in church. We attend the same church, and I think it was when I got into the Nigerian Academy of Science. Yeah, and it was announced in church, and then he came and met me after. And up till like 2 or 3 weeks ago, somebody said, "You are very young. How did you get in?" I said, well, I go there and I say, Auntie, good afternoon, Auntie, good afternoon. Up to date, I'm still working on it because it's not a nice thing when you have to do Auntie, Uncle for everybody. So I'm working on a younger person. I think now in Nigeria Academy, I'm still the youngest. That's the truth. And I'm working on getting somebody that is younger than me so that I become Auntie as well. So I met him, and back then I was the chairperson. I'm still the chairperson of UI Research and Development Fair, where we exhibit what we have at the University of Ibadan. And I thought they were a good organization to partner with, and they came in, and because of their active participation, the vice chancellor said the next one we are having this year, it will be in partnership with Down Commission, because we find out that they can bridge the gap. People in academia, we are really, really proud people. We can't justify. We are very proud. You can't go to government and say this is what I have. It will make you sit for 3 hours. But with Down Commission, they are like a bridge. So this year we are hoping to see them put their weight behind the UI Research and Development Fair of the University of Ibadan. The second thing I want to talk about is that Baba was talking about time when history, art, and humanity used to be very, very, very recognized in Nigeria. It's because we have put technology above art and humanities. We no longer celebrate art. I'm of the science background, but even when we started the UI Research and Development Fair, I went to Faculty of Arts. I went to give them a lecture. I went to social sciences. I said, you have something to exhibit. Because maybe because I'm in public health, veterinary public health, if you don't situate all this technology art in the humanities, then you don't connect, you don't make the necessary impact. So we need our art and humanities, and that's a challenge to you, sir. You need to rise up to the task of taking your position. If you don't blow your trumpet, nobody will. Because we are in the development phase, we think, oh, we need only science and technology, and we are losing the fabric. The only time I went to Opera House was when I was in the US. We don't have those kind of things anymore. So our children do not have appreciation for music. They don't have appreciation for museum. When we go out, we go shopping. We don't go to museums. We don't appreciate these things. So I think it's something that we need to do as people in the arts and humanities, to stand up and occupy our position in the society. Every discipline has its own usefulness. Technology is, builds this, builds that, but art and humanities is what makes us human. So, and you need to occupy that position, and that's a challenge to you, sir. So, on this note, I bring the greeting of my Vice Chancellor, Professor Abel Idowu Olayinka, FAS. I thank him for the privilege of nominating me for DVC, the first ever DVC Research, Innovation and Strategic Partnerships of the University of Ibadan. So I just started like a week ago, so I'm the new kid on the block. So I look forward to working with our elders, and I look forward to showcasing University of Ibadan, the Harvard of West Africa. I'm a proud UIte. Thank you for inviting me.
Baba, distinguished Babas, ladies and gentlemen, I am on trial. Well, thank you, sir, for a wonderful lecture. I actually met you before I met you. I read several of your books. I actually used one or two when I was writing the biography of the late Professor Adeloye Jose. And then I read the Salad Days, and in that book, that was when I was when I came across the Ijagboro phenomenon in Ilesha. You know, when you look at what is happening in South Africa today, and you see Nigerians being hounded by South Africans, you think it happens only in South Africa. No, it happened in Ilesha 1941-42, and I read it for the first time in his book. Ekiti people were expelled from Ilesha. Now I know, I want to know what happened, so I have put somebody on that research. He's working on it, and I got it from him. So he is an associate historian. I am an associate neurosurgeon. So we did something. History actually was a victim of its own success. We produced very eminent people, and then they got appointed as commissioners, ministers, and ultimately vice chancellors, and left the discipline. When they came back, they were no longer psychologically involved. And then when structural adjustment came, the middle level that was supposed to be there in the department left. And so when I joined UI in 93 December, it was the Babas up there and we smaller ones down there. There was no critical middle level. And so tragically, they also all retired at the same time. So I became a senior person in history extremely too early. And so these are the things we are coping with. But also the historians themselves are their own worst enemies. We write things that nobody reads, because when you write, you have to connect. Now we only write for promotion, and so we are not writing things people will read. And until we go back to that, communicating with society, history is not going to go anywhere, even if the federal government lifts its sanction on it tomorrow. I remember that we won a grant in the department here in 2006, American grant, for us to do oral documentation. We started that project, and the university then requested that the first project we should do was to interview all those people who attended UCI from 1948 to 61. I'm sure we never got to you. University College. Yeah, because the project died on the way. We had the money, but when I left as head of department, those coming behind me were not ready to continue. And so eventually the Americans had to ask for their money, so we had to return it. So these are the kind of things we are coping with. But subsequently we have to recalibrate and go back to the field and start a new conversation. If we don't do that, history will continue to have problems. But let me just leave that aside. On your paper, sir, the issue of these medical doctors that were trained, I'd like to know, was there a kind of philosophy that undergirded their activities? Because when you look at tropical medicine, for instance, the Institute of Tropical Medicine is in London. They bring all those things to us. The what do you call it? Drugs, malaria drugs. They don't have malaria in Britain, but the drugs come from there. They come from Switzerland. What did that generation of doctors do to synergize with the pharmacists, with the local herb people? Because it's not enough just to be pioneers. We must also see the footprints beyond being the first, you know, which is part of the problem we have. there is no coming together, articulating something, and developing a philosophy. Was there a philosophy that arose out of these pioneers? Thank you, sir.
I came all the way from Abeokuta last night to be here today because Professor Adeloye was going to give his lecture. I don't know what to say, but really, Professor Adeloye has been my teacher, my mentor, and my friend. Whatever I am today, I can say 50% of it has been because of him. I don't know whether I joined the department before him. So let me introduce myself. I'm Professor Okwe Adekunle. Okwe is my name. Okwe is my name, not Ore. And I retired as Professor of Surgery and Head of Department of Surgery, University College Hospital in 2002. And therefore, all my formative years, that is both training, working, all my professional career have been under him. So it's been a pleasure to come here. And even I sent him a text message that I was coming, but he probably didn't receive it. But trust him, he doesn't look at his text messages anyway. But coming to Down Foundation or Commission, I first got to know about you in 2013, 2014, when we had a conference here at the House of Assembly, when we were discussing, I think Goodluck Jonathan was giving us problems as Yorubas, and marginalization and all sorts of things. And I decided, no, I must come to this meeting. That was when I first got to know about Dawn Foundation. I'm glad that we've metamorphosed or grown into a commission like this, because we need to bring ourselves together as Yorubas. I can tell you one thing, and I also blame myself for it. We Yorubas tend to think that when we talk about Yoruba or anything, we are being tribalistic, right? But that is wrong, because these pioneers of medicine or doctors, there are things that we should have celebrated a long time ago to show the country or Nigerians that, look, Yorubas are number one and must remain number one. So I beg you, you younger people, don't ever think you are tribalistic because you are emphasizing on Yorubas, or else we lose all the things that we've done for this country. I remember, okay, I don't want to talk too much about myself because it's not the place for it, but I belong to what we call Yoruba Unity Forum. Late Mrs. Adelola invited me to be a member of it. I was in South Africa for a long time. When I left UI, I was invited to South Africa to be advisor to their government on specialist training for doctors. And I came back in 2010 or 11, and I received this letter because I had known many of the children for some time. Tola, Adelola, Tukumbo. And then we started to discuss the issues of marginalization of the Yorubas. And it was for the first time I began to realize that all the good things that Yorubas, especially Adelola, have done for this country are going to go down the drain unless we start celebrating him and ourselves. So that was when I got this information. And Don, of course, since I attended the first meeting, had sent me every day this information. And I read, don't worry, I read everything that you send to me every day. In fact, that's where I got my information, my news from. That's when I then found out he was going to give this lecture today. Please keep on the good works. It's very, very good. And I also am glad that these 6 governors have come together. And one of the best days of my life was when to see them going to Ado-Ekiti and being embraced by Fayose. Then I said, thank God, we are there at last. Because really, whatever they can say outside, the others, when I say the others, you know what I mean. They are like this. They don't leave themselves, though. I know that. Please keep on the good works. And thanks very much for asking me to come.
Good day. I thank you for. I thank the Dawn for organizing this periodic discussion. And I pray that we will not relent. But when I was told by Prof, my friend, that we give a talk on by dawn at Cocoa House, I was wondering where is the holding Cocoa House? Because when the Cocoa House was built, I was working the marketing board then. Before it got bumped. So this is another time I will be here today, Cocoa House. So I follow Prof. You know, one thing about Prof is that he's a self-effacing man. He's so unique. He's a giant among giants in academic fields, Professor Adeloye. But see, when one's missing, one will take me for what? Yes. You know, he was a year junior to Professor Lunge at Christ School and Professor Osun Tokun. And the two were giants in that class. But Professor Lunge was my teacher at Lagiru Grammar School. I was a pioneer student at Lagiru Grammar School by the way. I was a BSc holder then. We lived together at the Calabar Estate with Professor Lunge. So when he will be seeing me with Professor Adeloye, like, I don't know, where do you know Professor Adeloye? You are the man. I said, he's my friend and so okay. Oh, Mama with you there. I was here his junior, but he beat me to enter university and he entered university of Ibadan before us. He beat us. We bought into hotel that day when they announced the name, and Osutoku and myself. But it was the only Adeloye who was there. And when I told the professor, he said, Professor Osutoku never forgave him until he died. But you get so that's the time of man is. He's simple, he's modest, he's won't a fly, and that is the traits of unique personality. People who care only about academics. They don't care much about any other thing. Well, that's by the way. About Dawn, I have to commend you sincerely. I must say that I wrote a book, Ibadan Wa Ibadan. I read mass communication at the University of Lagos. I've been editor of different something, and I couldn't sketch. And features editor before I left for politics. During Bolage, I was close to Adelola when I interviewed. I was then working at Afrisco magazine in Lagos. It was true that Adelola, I used to follow him. Even he called me to take part in politics. It is true, he said he would level up with Portugal and Spain and elected. That was 1978 December. And the next week after saying that, our man, President Obasanjo, came out to say that the best candidate may not win this election. He warned that Professor Banjo Baji Akintoye said, Adelola will win the post, but he will lose the election. No, he will lose the election. We are in a recession. Nigeria has been a disorganized society, in a state of anomy since the military came in. Even things were better during Gawan. Because Gawan came at the age of 31. He never prepared for the post. He was chief of army staff, sent to quell mutiny at Ikeja, sent by Brigadier Ogundipe. But Gawan came back as the head of state, and Ogundipe gave order, second command to Inyodonsi, to a sergeant. He refused it. He was worse. That's why he fled into the boat and went to England, where he was appointed commissioner. That's by the way. Yoruba has been in the forefront, even before the advent of colonialism. Consider Oyo Empire. For almost 600 years, the empire spread from the Niger down to Kumasi. Almost Kumasi, northern Ghana. Nupe was under Oyo Empire for almost 200 years. I mean, Tapa. For almost 200 years. That's why you see Afre Nupe man speaking Yoruba fluently. And I remember when you seek a book of my Odyssey, when he was coming, when he finished in 1934, after spending 10 years in the US, he stayed at Solanke, West African house built by Solanke from Abeokuta in London. Most of the white men call him Yoruba man. You are from the Yoruba country? You are from, because they knew that any well-educated people come from Yoruba. But he said he will take him time to say he's from an Igbo man from. Oh, that let us so that has been the role of Yoruba, and the story, the history, according to Wole Soyinka, is life. It's life. You just have to know about our life, about our past, our present, so that we know how to behave and how to gather ourselves, so that our future will be rosy. But the killing of history has done a lot of damage, morally, psychologically, and it's call it anything. So, you know, has not done us any good. So it is a challenge to done so that they will revive this, and this is one of the best way to do it. So with I know I benefit from this from my presence here, and I want you to keep it up. Thank you.
I'm very interested in one comment which Professor Additional okay, we have these pioneers and these pioneers. Why is it that we haven't come together to advance medical science depending on people from I guess it must be part of the society that does not respect merit. This is very, very important. You should even Oshibajo their present deputy, one of the things that's written on the screen Newsnight was saying, don't do things on merit, not on ethnicity, and that is probably what has been killing us. There are people in the UK, I mean, not like this man, but when it comes to work, this is why you see 3, 4, 5 people teaming up and getting results. You will have your own commitment. You has his own assignment. But here, you see, we don't really lack of respect for merit, and then, of course, a little dose of corruption is there always. But I think it's that lack of merit, because I've seen situations whereby people get recognition, not that they don't deserve it, but there are people that are better than they are. But until we can get over that, I think we just be second raters. Thank you.
I think you raised the question about why is it that all the malaria drugs are coming from England. I remember, maybe Professor Adeloye also remembers that in the mid-70s, the Department of Pediatrics, they were working on malaria vaccines and things. And I can't remember the name of the guy. He was working with Gambia. There is an Eastern Research Institute in Gambia. And he had got to the end of the research on malaria and whatever drugs and things that he was trying to. And over the weekend, the lights went off in UCH. And the entire, all the specimens were just ruined. And he could not proceed with that research. He had to have something else after that. So it's this problem of infrastructure that is preventing research work. I mean, when I look at the sort of work and research I was able to do between 1967 and 1980, much better than what I did after that. So and that's the period in which this country started to nosedive in everything. So this is a problem. It's an infrastructural problem.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir. I must say it's a privilege to have you around. I actually have been privileged to be writing the Akinkoju in Dawn Commission, and I've written about you, and I'm saying it's a privilege that I can see you one-on-one now, because among the ones I've written, I don't think I've seen anyone. So, welcome, sir. Actually, I've written about some of the past medical practitioners that you've listed. I've written about Professor Odeku, Latunde Odeku. I've written about Professor Ajose, Professor Samuel Manua, and so many others. And looking at the history that you just recapped for us, it has left me wondering how you were able to balance then and now, especially now that a lot of our hospitals are complaining about outdated facilities. And then my question is more or less like Professor Dako's observation, that how do they manage the medicine then, the drugs we used then and the one we use now? Do we still have the privilege of using herbs, or we still have to use whatever tablet they bring from there to us? Is there a way we can link them? Is there a way we can blend them and make our herb here also as effective as what they sent to us there? Thank you, sir.
I'm Tokwe Ogundano. That's my name, Tokwe Ogundano. I'm here on the by courtesy of Professor Adeloye. He's our dad, and everything to us in Christ School. So he only told us some days back that I will be delivering a talk, and that he will want some of us to come. And I said, where? He said, He will tell us where and when. So last night I was told it's here. So I want to appreciate the dawn. I have not been hearing about dawn. I was talking with people around me that let these people make too much, let them make noise about themselves. That people will know that we are capable of doing what we want to be doing. People says, okay, the pastor of my church once said that if you do not blow your trumpet, nobody will help you to blow it. Nobody. Right now, people do not want even you to blow anything. So if you are not saying anything, nobody will know about you. So I want to say that the young people should let us know more about them. Go into the advert. Let us put it there. We are what we are. The Yoruba people should not be rubbish. We should not put ourselves somewhere and say, let them be doing it. But my own question is, I wrote here that I'm very worried about this pioneer thing we call the Yoruba people. I'm very worried. If you go into all faiths, okay, let me say all faith and Christ school, quote and unquote. But when you see them we talk about Christ school, you see them in history, you see them here, see them there, see them there, and they are 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. They are all pioneers. Then what are we gaining from those pioneer things? What are we gaining? What are the Yoruba gaining? I saw Yoruba as maybe timid. You do not want to be rubbish, quote and unquote. I don't want it was see. I don't want this. And you don't want this, it was see, and it was see is coming. That's the language. The was see is coming. Like Prof will say, that's alright for me. Take anything. The Yoruba will be there, and when you don't want them to do something, they say, no. Or one of us, he said, I'm a Yoruba, sorry, excuse me. He said, he is a Nigerian soldier, not a Yoruba soldier. At the point when people want to know what is the stake, if we are going to this war, what will be the stake of the Yorubas there? And you are a Yoruba man there. You saw what people will say, Leku, Agondi Lekiti, Orino Rede. You push it here, push it there. And you are there to tell us how do we go about this thing. I said, no, I'm a Nigerian soldier. Is there a nation called a Nigeria? Is there no Yoruba nation before Nigeria? There is. Yoruba is there before Nigeria. And somebody was even telling me yesterday in one program, there's a Lassa now, something, Agbaki Olubado. He said, the Igbo people, so Nwaju Pomotain and headache, we have it in Nigeria. Because these nations are there before what is called Nigeria. So what am I trying to say? That I'm worried about the pioneer stakes we are taking. And that thing is not transforming in the Yoruba nation. We are forgetting the Yoruba nation. We are thinking, Nigeria. Where is the Nigeria? Look at what the Hausa people will do. Look at what the Jaw will do. Look at what the Igbo people will do. And it's the Yoruba. Look at what happened in Ife recently. Look at what happened in Ife. Such a thing happened. Somebody was preaching. He was killed. The man said, why are you tearing something and there? And he slaughtered the person. Nothing happened. They never took anybody to Abuja in the north. And something happened in Ife. And they would now drove everybody to that place. Where is the pioneer thing? I know Yoruba we shouldn't be timid. So it is high time now we get out of our own shell. Let people know us for what we are. Let them know us that we are there. Like our mommy from UI said, let the history, let the people, let us talk about this thing. Let's inculcate in the Yoruba people, we put fears into the heart even of our own children. When you go to so that timidity is in our own children. They will not come, my daddy said, you are on your own, you are on your own. Yes, much as we are not saying that they should go into violence and everything. But let us put that confidence in them. Let's put confidence in ourselves that yes, we are part of, we are not even part. Everything, when you talk about Yoruba, what is the Yoruba language? Look at Odunjo. Look at Paguwa. Look at, people now learn from them. It is what they have done that every other nation in Nigeria are doing. They now want to be like. want to be like. But we reserve to ourselves, maybe we call ourselves introverts. That you know, no, let me keep it within myself. So I want to acknowledge the dawn that so there are a lot of fields we want to do. Let us know about everything. Let us, like we have called him as a pioneer, one of the pioneers in medicine. Bring them in Yoruba, bring them in BK, bring them in anything. Let us come and talk. Even in literature, bring them. For Shoyinka, nobody can rubbish him in the whole world. Happy? So you have a lot of them there. And now, for those of us who are younger, now let us think about how do we translate this into our position. I'm very, like I said, I'm worried. I was looking at the trend of things in Nigeria. Trend of things. Like I said, that person was called that. What is the position of Nigeria, of the Yoruba army in this thing that is about to happen? And I was telling them it's not a Yoruba army, it's a Nigerian army. And the things went up. It was rubbish. The Hausa will say, this is what we want. They will dictate the time. Our case is not different from those of us from the Britain. They came here, they will tell us the price of cocoa. They tell us cocoa is to be sold to them at 10 naira. And we are the one working for the cocoa. We are the one doing the work and everything. Then they will determine the price, they determine everything for us. The same thing is happening to Nigeria now. So I want the Dawn to please help us. Let us bring the Yoruba out and let us encourage them. The Lord will be with us in Jesus' name.
My question is this, sir. Baba is a pioneer in neurosurgery and he's well renowned all over Africa. I'd like to ask, how many neurosurgeons do we even have now in this country catering for 180 million people? Because I don't think anybody needs to be a brain surgeon to know that there are a lot of people with brain problems in this country. So maybe if our neurosurgeons can, the amount of neurosurgeons we have can improve. And why do we have this gap? Why don't we have as many neurosurgeons as we're meant to have in this country? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, mine is not a question really. I'd just like to say a very big thank you to Baba for coming here today. I've really learned something from you. In fact, when I grow old, I like to be like you. Baba studied medicine, but during the course of his lecture, Baba was referring to some dates, 1884. Without looking at anything, I'm still a young man. I'm in my early 30s, but I don't think I can mention. I can't be quoting those dates. Yes, I must tell you, I don't think I can do it. And names. So, Baba, if there's one thing I would like to take away from today's presentation is the fact that you are intelligent, despite the fact that I just did a small calculation now. I asked my colleague that's sitting beside me that when was Baba even born? He said 1935. And with my little mathematical knowledge, I was able to do the calculation. Baba is 82 years old. So if a boy of 30 something is finding it very difficult to remember what happened last year, how much more Baba who is 82 years old. So Baba, once again I'd like to say thank you to you. So you've really challenged me. I have to go back home now and start reading those dates and be putting them in my brain. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon once again. I would like to thank Baba and Baba's friends that actually came here because Baba was coming here to give a talk. I would like to thank all of you for sharing knowledge, this kind of knowledge with the younger ones in the house. We are so grateful. And I'm also proud to be greatest Uite, like Papa said. And I remember when Papa mentioned the Africano road, I could recollect that, yes. But each time I passed through that road while I was in school, there was no connection. It's just, who is this man? What's this man? Is this from the zoo or something? So, but thank God, Baba has shared a lot of light about that, and we are so grateful. Then I'm also thanking God for the opportunity to be here today, because
apart from the fact that we came here to work, I'm part of the staff of Dawn, but it's also an avenue to learn a lot of things, because Papa has said so much today, and all the series we've had in the past, it has always been a time to learn one or two things. Today is another day, because I've also learned that apart from being a doctor, Papa knows a lot about history, and I realized that every career, being a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, it is very, very important for every one of us to know our history. Perhaps the history would even motivate you on your particular chosen career, because by the time you learn from those who had gone ahead of you, you will be really motivated. You could create a kind of vision for yourself to become better. But the kind of education we have these days is just go to school, become this. You're not motivated by anything, and that is why we have the kind of product we have outside there. So today it's a real lesson. I've learned a lot from Papa, and I want to say thank you so much, sir. We'll take the lesson back to the society.
I just want to say that I'm extremely delighted to see this day come by. The Yoruba historical conversations, I'm aware, came into being last year, and I always, like my senior colleague Professor Adeloye, I get the notification through the daily newsletter of Dawn Commission, and I've never had the privilege to come, but I've always been passionate about Yoruba historical antecedents, because it is the essence of who you are. If you don't know your history and your culture, you'll be lost. The ethos of Omoluabi that we are talking about is grounded in our history. So when I saw this series started, it became imperative for me that one, I must attend one day, and secondly, I say, hey, I know that Yorubas have contributed so much to all the professions, all the disciplines, everything in Nigeria, and I knew medicine in particular. Something must be said about medicine. And I even toyed with the idea of doing the research myself. It was going through my head last year. And I do write occasional pieces here and there. I was doing some work about historical evolution at UCH. The thesis, what's happened to UCH since its inception in 1956. And I was trying to get some historical references, and I came across my former teacher's book on the practice and practitioners of medicine. And so, well, I said, hey, this is the source, Orisunre, for this, about this historical aspects about medicine. So I said, well, then I went to him and approached him, and I'm very, very delighted. And you've seen it all. We've learned so much. And when I went to UCH bookshop a few weeks ago, I wanted to buy a book, and I said about Adeloye, I mentioned his name. The clerk brought me 6 different books. 6 different books from the shelves. So that is the essence of who he was. My teacher. You know, in 1960, I started my clinical years in 67 at UCH. I was there, and he taught me neurosurgery, and also he was my teacher, Professor Adelola. It was the time the Lord. That's the first thing that I want to really acknowledge. But fundamentally, what we are talking about is what I call the fierce urgency of now for this message to go out, because it's a big deal. Amateur Obama past one, they are lost. A good example is with African Americans in the United States. Briefly, they were systematically and deliberately deculturalized. The slaves. The families were separated, so they lost their language, they lost who they are. And since then, the African Americans have been struggling. the plight of African and Black Americans in America today, they are the bottom of the rung, has to do with the fact that they were deculturalized. Believe me. All other now new generation that moved to the US, Vietnamese Americans, South Koreans, when they come, they retain their culture and they are doing well. They are seeking an identity. And what do? At one time, of course, you know, they were wearing their shiki. They have one of the funniest names. They give their children all kinds of names. Tishon, Loshon. They look. And even Irutanko, they took it up. And appropriately, I want to their men are putting it on. And also distorting our culture. That is Yoruba culture for you. So, it's a serious thing. When the people don't, and my children there, I always tell them, it's this melting pot. The essence run to your multi when she otherwise will be lost. It's an amorphous culture. So it is serious thing when people forget who they are. And it is happening to us in a systematic way. Here, this is what we are doing today is very, very important. To me, I always say, and I spoke to Shaya and also the DJ too, is one leg. It is, first of all, let us remember who we are and start putting it out there to our children, secondary schools, universities, whichever ways we can do it. Let them know who they were, so they can face the future with confidence. Aspiration. So the final comment I will say about Dawn has been commended. That is very good. I see Dawn as the bridge for a lot of things in terms of our historical past, a resource for ideas about how to make Southwest better, and also they can connect with those in governance, the governments, because the government established them. But your work is just beginning. It's a long distance race, and we must persevere and not relent. Ishe line, because our children, believe me, they are quote unquote almost lost. Dr. Professor Additional, I have one of you spoke about this the when we had last September 23rd at the UI Conference Center. When you dissected about some of the youth, what's happening to them. So it's a lot of work, and I say that things like this is like almost like preaching to the choir. We are here because we are interested, but those who need it are out there. That's the key thing. So we must get out to them. Secondary schools. This package are already written to the and make sure you package it. These videos, as you put it on YouTube, the hits are few. Very few people watch them. It's good, but get it to secondary schools. Now that we can communicate with the commissioners of education, let them get it out. The school boards. And hashtag Yoruba Nimi. Yoruba Nimi. Hashtag Twitter. WhatsApp. They can watch. You see, WhatsApp can load a lot of messages, large volume data, video. And so WhatsApp, we get it out. People like your DG, a lot of people have a lot of followership. Adelola, tell you, people who like her on Facebook, 400, 500. Let them start projecting it, because almost all these young people have this technology. They have the cell phone and they are communicating. So these are the platforms. We go to them where they are, and I also told them, look, it also Bangkokbi, all those Yoruba outlets. Let us reach out to them. That is where. Let us go to meet people where they are. You know that the newscast now, they put that public, you can hear when you are going on the road, all this Yoruba news program. Let us go and meet people wherever they are. The message must be gotten out that let us educate our children. Let them remember who they are, so that the legacy of people like Papa Ulowo will not die. And so we're in the process. We started, and we must persevere and not relent. And well, you're going to give your formal thanks to Professor Adeloye. But you know, and as I said, since I prevailed on him to come and he accepted, thank you very much, sir, for acceding to my request. May the Lord bless you. Thank you very much.
My question is very related to the question an uncle raised here some times ago. And it's a question that borders on medical development or development as a whole. Where I read somewhere that development is best defined as the ability to explore your immediate environment for the good of the people that live therein. That is before the advent of orthodox medicine. The Yoruba people has a way that they took care of people with mental illnesses. Is it that your generation swept it aside? And particularly because, thank God we have a professor of history here. The Institute of African Studies came into being as a result of the fact that the philosophy of teaching before then was purely European. Now there is a need for us to Africanize it. But what are we doing that even to date, China that does not have 1/4 of our forest volume is the major exporter of herbal medicine. So what do we celebrate in Yoruba region that we are all clapping that we are pioneers of this, pioneers of that, where we are not developing? I'm worried.
I want to believe we've all had a fill of comments. I'm not a lecturer, but I'll stand in front of you. I think I'm more comfortable facing people than I don't know where to start. It's an hard act to follow when you listen to sages. I was looking at the combined years of knowledge in this small room this afternoon, and it's quite intimidating. But we thank God that we are here to even listen and tap into their wealth of experience. Thankfully, Baba is going to leave the lecture behind, and I'm still going to go and read it. It's what I've been doing with all these lectures is I call them my bedtime story. When it's 12 midnight, you find me reading them. That's when I digest all these things. I can promise you straight away that we are not using this as just a talk shop, as I said earlier on. We have ideas of sending this out to schools. And even Professor Famira gave us an idea this morning that even the videos we can take to secondary schools. I mean, we now have, fortunately or unfortunately, a visual generation where nobody wants to read, they only want to watch or see. Prof was telling me that if you put a 40-minute lecture on YouTube, they won't even watch it. They will take all their data, because there's a video for 3 minutes or a little cache for 2 minutes that they can watch. So why should they listen to Professor Adeloye for 45 minutes? We will take it to schools. We will take it to them. We won't wait for them to access it on YouTube. As I said, Dawn was set up for a time like this. We are trying to do our own bit. Earlier on, I did say that doing nothing is not a solution, and it's not an option. We felt that we had to do something. That was why this was started last year. Unfortunately, we don't read here. I mean, we invited the students of the medical school in UCH. We invited them. They told us we'll be here. Even as at this morning, spoke with them. And they said, oh, we'll be here. But you tell them that there's Laugh Matters to come and laugh, comedy. They will all be here. They will pay. This is free. We are even going to give them food. They didn't come. But that's where we are today. Now, I've been told that, it's because it's a social media generation. Everybody wants to tweet. So we have a generation that will read 3 lines on a tweet and then comment 50 pages. They've not read the whole story. They only read the 2 or 3 line tweet. But I disagree when people say it's a social media generation, nobody reads. I said no. As I said, I've had the privilege of living in Europe for years before coming back to Nigeria, and up till tomorrow morning, they still value reading in Europe. The public libraries are functional. People still go to libraries in Europe. The reading culture is still there, even among the young ones. Tell them that there is a lecture. I know about the Fabian Society in UK. A lot of younger people go there. Lecture series at LSE. People still go there. They fill the rooms to listen. When we were in university here years ago, I was telling the Prof that I remember we would take the bus from Ife. We would go to NII in Lagos to listen to the likes of Professor Olusoye or the Edwin Madinagus of this world, or the Bolaji Akim. So we would travel from Ife to Lagos to listen to lectures. Not anymore. We have a generation that chooses to be unintelligent. They chose, because you have enough information to make you intelligent, but they've chosen to be unintelligent. So they will read one line tweets and they become experts. When you try to correct some of them, they'll tell you, no, you are wrong. I know it's not true. They've not read anything. But as I said, as much as possible, we'll try to make our own impact from here. That's why they've set us up. We thank God that we call you, Baba. You came back. At least you offered your time. We can't pay for your time. We can't pay for your knowledge. But you said no, you will come. You were enthusiastic the very first day I came over to you. And Professor Pamela, thank you for recommending Baba. When you told us that Professor Adeloye, we said, we've used him in Akekonju, and as Buki said, she's happy that she's met her first Akekonju. But as I said, it's been a wonderful time. I've gained a lot. I thank you all for the incisive contributions and questioning. These are the things that we all put together on our page. As I said, to go on our page, to go on Facebook. But we intend, by the first anniversary of this lecture series in July or August, I can't remember when it started again, we're going to have it in we're going to have a company of all the lectures that we put together, and we will send it out. We'll put it in libraries. We'll take it to schools. That's the least we can do. It's not going to end here amongst ourselves and we file it away. No, it's of no use doing that. But once again, I want to thank you, Baba. We thank you, sir, for giving us your time. We really appreciate your coming. We will, for many more years to come, we'll continue to tap into your knowledge. And Professor Bamiwa, thank you, sir. Honorable Agbaje, Baba, we thank you. Let me have that book. He brought us a book that he wrote on Ibadan. And one of the things we're also doing this year is that we'll be bringing people who, they're not necessarily historians, but knowledgeable on particular subjects, like someone who will come and talk to us about Ibadan. Now the book is Ibadan, our Ibadan, Ibadan, and contemporary Nigerian issues. He graciously gave us a few copies. I say thank you, sir. Thank you. And also, Professor Adeloye has written a few books over the years. He brought some of them. The commission has bought a few, which we are putting aside, but please go and buy yours. We only bought the commission's own. Thank you once again, sir. And on behalf of the Director General, who has been disturbing us on WhatsApp, he wants to know everything that's been going on, I'll say thank you very much. And once again, everybody, thank you for making it a joyous and a glorious day. Thank you.
Being the person that has the microphone, I would also say my own. Baba, the way I see everybody seated here, it seems like we would like to appreciate you. They all want to appreciate you. And would you please join me in singing Baba oh Baba oh Baba oh Oluwa Baba si Baba oh Baba oh Baba Oluwa Baba si Baba oh Baba oh Baba oh Oluwa Baba Baba oh Baba oh Baba oh Oluwa Baba. Thank you so much. Please, we can all be seated. Baba, I'm really excited. Your presence of mind is something that has been catching my attention at this advanced age, because I know that it's I can see yes, your presence of mind and the fact that you are still able to walk at this age, Baba, and for it's unfortunate that we invited a lot of people, and we would have expected that a senior colleague, a sage in your profession, is coming to talk. You want to listen, and I'm like, okay, so are we saying that our past doesn't matter? Is that what we're saying? Because without our past, our future, we won't know how to yes. So it brings I would say that for those of us seated here, let us preach the gospel of the Yoruba nation. It is very important. If it's just this few of us that will start the crusade, let's start it. Let us start it. The churches we have now, they start like this and they expand. Yeah. So let us start it with us, those of us here. Let us start it, and I can bet it within a short period. I did history. I was privileged to do history in ISI, so I did history. Yes, I did history. But I'm surprised that they no longer do history. I'm surprised. So let's start it with us here. Let's start it. It's possible, and let's continue to project all these things that Baba has told us and the past presenters. Thank you so much, sir. Adupe.
Just a quick announcement. I've just been corrected that we actually have a medical student who saw it on their website, on WhatsApp. Saw it on WhatsApp, and he took it upon himself to turn up, and we are going to recognize him. Mr. Please stand up.
Yose. Best of Ibadan.
So he took it upon himself to come and listen. You will be greater than Baba. Chobo, thank you for coming. I also read history and political science, my first degree, before I diverted to IT for so many years. But that's a different story now. So no, well, my training as an historian, that's why I'm still here. I trained in Ife. But some of the best teachers, the Akinjokmis of this world, the Omosinis of this world, Baba Arifalo, Baba Afolayan. Toyi Falolako. So they were all there. So I mean, some of my best years was training under them in Ife in those days. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. We have a little token for you, sir, but Professor Famuyiwa will do the presentation.
Well, I guess ordinarily I would I didn't want to bother my senior colleague. That's why I'm doing this, and otherwise, but I asked Professor Adekunle to do it. But yes, this is from Dawn Commission, Developmental Agenda for Western Nigeria. On behalf of Dawn and all of us here, and myself in particular, sir, we want to thank you for graciously honoring the invitation to come and deliver this lecture on Yoruba pioneers medical practice in Nigeria. It has been a very stimulating lecture. We know it's like planting a seed for something bigger. It's a mustard seed, which by the grace of God will grow and become a giant tree and spread, under which there will be birds and all kinds of creatures. So that is the analogy I can best use for what is happening today. That the message will go forth, and Yoruba children, young people, men, boys and girls everywhere will begin to understand their past, know about their past, And this will strengthen them to know how to deal with the present and also prepare them for the future. So on behalf of Don, I would like to present this to you, sir, for this wonderful lecture.
Well, what can I say? Thank you. This is the dawn. The dawn
of a new beginning.
A new era. This is the dawn the transformation and improvement of the Yoruba race. I was saying somewhere that times when I listen to news in Igbo, the NTA, and I remember 1959 when Enahoro brought, he was the minister of information, yes, brought this, it was the first in Africa, originating from yes, through the intellect and the hard work of Yoruba, and now it has expanded. It's become national Nigerian treasure, and I'll tell someone that I'm very, very proud Yoruba man, very proud Ekiti man, but I'm not very proud as a Nigerian at this stage of the exercise. Why? Because you see, day by day, that the Yoruba race is being marginalized, being pushed aside. No, it's not tribalism. They used to accuse Adelola of tribalism. No. Now I understand that it's a misnomer. No, be proud of yourself. Be proud of your race. He who is not proud of his race, that is, and I've seen this, and this I say, in answer to your question, Professor, apart from what I said about infrastructure, merit, very important. Nobel Prize for medicine, given for DNA, 3 of them, and then the lady was left out, Franklin, yes, Dorothy Franklin was left out, and now the world seems to be apologizing that has happened. You see, for the lack of, he actually was the first person to see that double helix of DNA, and said, well, yes, Watson and Crick. Watson saw it, okay. Yes, but they left out this Rosalind Franklin, and they called her the Black Lady of DNA. But the world keeps apologizing. They keep saying, well, yes, it included her in the American war. So this is why we should support Don, and Don to let us know what's going to be doing next. It's not like all this that we are saying, but out there, as Poncho said, as the young people, the young generation, we are going to pass the baton to them, whether we like it or not. When you do relay, you roll your own beat and pass on the. You can't run the 4 legs. That's my comment. That I think we continue to work. Better we all when the honor of last year. So what's my mantra? What do I think? I walk and I pray. I walk and pray. So I think that is what we continue. continue to work with it. But we should not forget the source. Yes, the source. We should not forget. Yoruba is to be proud of it. We are not being tribalistic. So let us know what we're going to do, how we're going to get this message across to the young people, what we are going to do next after all this. It's all right, what we are talking about. My friends around here, we are getting not too young, it's what just 28. Once more, please, I'm very, very grateful that you invited me. I didn't expect that to be like this. You have some questions, and if I have to be funny, another lecture. Thank you very much.
We now have the photograph stage. We do take photographs.